How much money do you make? What's your mom's salary? Do you have a trust fund?
A few weeks ago, I tried to use people's personal data to overcharge them for snacks.
Can I look through your social media?
Look through my social media?
This guy lifts, he drinks a lot of water.
It didn't go well.
You take unregulated peptides, but you won't eat a Biscoff? Everything's $4 for you. For you, $2.
For me, $2?
This is the future massive corporations are building.
Surveillance pricing.
Surveillance pricing.
Surveillance pricing.
They're investing millions of dollars to study you and your buying behavior.
What kind of phone do you have?
11.
I'm ready to give you a great price.
To know what groceries you can't live without and how much exactly you'd shell out for them.
Based on your personal data, I could part with any of these items for 50 cents.
When you tell people you're doing this, they think pricing on personalized data is creepy. The questions are invasive.
I feel like my privacy's being invaded, yeah.
The pricing is unfair.
I can probably get those cheaper somewhere else.
I don't agree with that. I think it's evil and predatory.
These reactions are a taste of the disgust mounting across the country with actual results. Maryland just announced a first ever ban on surveillance pricing, and state after state could follow suit.
Same cart, same store, same price.
Here's the problem. That's the governor of Maryland, and what he's saying isn't exactly true. The bill he put his signature on was actually a major victory for giant corporations. And if lobbyists get their way, it could become a nationwide playbook, a way to make sure retailers have a right to price gouge you with your personal data in spite of widespread anger. So what went wrong? We investigated. We found over $10,000 of free dinners, meddling from trade groups backed by Uber, Instacart, and DoorDash, and language added to the Maryland bill seemingly written on behalf of lobbyists. And if Maryland is a cautionary tale, what's the solution? I wanted to start with how industry is trying to spin this widely hated practice because it's a key part of the Maryland story. I found one industry group hard at work.
I'm with Chamber of Progress.
We are wholly independent from the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm here testifying today in respectful opposition to HB 2458.
The Chamber of Progress, that's a tech lobbying group, and they've been fighting surveillance pricing bills from Maryland to Hawaii. And if the name Chamber of Progress seems, well, progressive, here's who funds them. To understand their spin, I got help from a former industry insider.
So if I want to successfully surveillance price people, I shouldn't tell them that I'm doing it.
I think, yeah, I certainly wouldn't.
Give us your data and we'll give you snacks.
This is my colleague Eric Gardner. His reporting helped launch a Federal Trade Commission investigation into Instacart's use of an AI pricing tool. But before his career as a journalist, he was a grocery pricing consultant.
They hate the term surveillance pricing.
SB 6312 sweeping definitions would label these everyday savings as surveillance and make them unavailable. If a grocery store alerts you that a pasta sauce is on sale based upon your prior purchases, that could be deemed surveillance-based pricing.
They like data-driven pricing. Essentially what they argue is that this is just a natural extension of discounts and coupons, which people have grown accustomed to.
Discounts, coupons, and especially loyalty programs. Here's an industry strategist noting that most people get upset when their friends get better prices than them.
There's a solution for this. Make it part of a program. Because if I get a different price than my friend and they go, well, why did you get that? They go, well, I'm a member of this loyalty program. They go, oh, now I understand. It makes sense.
But loyalty programs, discounts, these keep our bills down, leave us with more money in our pocket, right?
No company is spending tens of millions of dollars to set up an infrastructure to save your money. I have had probably hundreds, if not thousands of meetings with executives talking about promotions. Almost all of them were about how to make them more profitable. I have never had a conversation about how to make them better and deliver more value for the consumer.
The Chamber of Progress isn't the only industry group fighting these bills, but their rhetoric is instructive. They warn of a discount apocalypse wrought by these bills.
That's completely incoherent and makes absolutely no sense. You can still offer promotions.
You just have to give them out fairly, transparently, and without creepy data collection. That's what's modeled in a pair of New York bills. Want to give a senior discount? Fine, but you can't spy on people to figure out how old they are, and you have to make it obvious to all who is or isn't eligible for the discount. Rather, these bills ban promotions like this.
So I recently found this patent. It's from DoorDash. It's called Detecting User Agitation Application Interaction. this patent hypothetically, is calculating a score for you, basically trying to figure out how agitated you are. Kind of the example they give is if that someone seems pretty frantic, maybe they're going to get some fast food offers rather than a sit-down restaurant. And I think it goes to this larger conversation is like, do we want effectively prices based off of these type of behavioral decisions and data collected by companies?
All the talk of losing discounts helped sway Maryland legislators who made the bill functionally useless with a series of loopholes.
Industry has been pretty effective in certain states in getting those carve-outs to be very broad and to potentially undo the ban entirely.
That's Nina DeSalvo, an advocate for surveillance pricing bans with Towards Justice. She's critical of the many exemptions that were added to the Maryland law after lobbying.
They have carve-outs for anything to which a consumer consents. You can imagine the number of times you just click yes in order to move on with your day, right?
It also allows segmentation that, to loosely paraphrase Nina's argument, allows a grocer to charge a special price for men who use Android, have Googled jalapeno popper over 40 times, shop on Fridays, and seem to be willing to pay more for them. But no, that's not a special price for me. That's a segment composed of me and a bunch of weird popper aficionados. In an email, a spokesperson for Governor Moore's office argued the bill is an important first step, not the final word, and that the governor does not believe in letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. Nevertheless, stronger bills in places like New York don't have Maryland's problems. To understand the danger surveillance pricing bills face, we wanted to investigate how those lobbyists gutted the Maryland bill so effectively. We looked at public disclosure documents for some clues. Members of the state Senate committees debating the bill were gifted over $10,000 in dinners by the Maryland Retail Alliance at restaurants serving up salmon Wellington and a $150 Wagyu tomahawk ribeye. I mean, I don't know if that's what they ordered, but if a lobbyist was paying, you'd be stupid not to. The disclosures don't actually show what was discussed, but the first dinner was just one day after the legislature began considering the surveillance pricing bill. The Maryland Retail Alliance initially opposed it until those carve-outs were added to make the bill impotent. On their board of directors, executives from Target and Amazon. And the bill's passage got high praise from the head of the Chamber of Progress, a former Google exec.
What we've seen in terms of pushback on a lot of these bills is attempts to get exemptions from the protection that really swallow the rule.
Now, this blunder could go national, a way for lawmakers to say they've banned the practice, but in reality, not. The Chamber of Progress is fighting the pair of New York bills. They've also opposed bills in places like New Jersey, Illinois, and a Colorado bill Nina and Towards Justice pushed for. We reached out to the Chamber of Progress for comment. You can read their full response on screen. So how do we stop from doing a Maryland whoopsie?
I think strong surveillance pricing legislation really starts with a broad ban on the behavior.
No carve-outs, like in Maryland for subscription services, or if you clicked yes on some terms of service.
I think one very important piece that the Maryland legislation also misses is understanding that individualized pricing must encompass segmentation.
By contrast, look at New York's One Fair Price package of bills. One bill is a broad ban for the state, outlawing any person from charging different prices to different consumers based on surveillance data. The second bill specifically targets grocers and pharmacies and puts forward a crystal clear definition of personal data that cannot be used in price setting. Any data that could be linked directly or indirectly to you or your devices. Both bills are clear. You can still have loyalty programs and discounts for broad groups like seniors and teachers. You just have to be honest and transparent about how to get those discounts. And people's reward points can't change in value based on what the company knows about you. A business lobbying group plans to spend $1 million to crush it. Our research found financial ties to Amazon, McDonald's, Airbnb, and Madison Square Garden Entertainment. In Colorado, a blanket ban is also paired with a ban on surveillance wages. Right now, those algorithms are being used to squeeze gig workers, but Nina worries the trend is coming for even more kinds of jobs. The bill was vetoed by Governor Jared Polis. The Chamber of Progress urged him to do just that. Even your local government can do something. New York City just proposed its own bans. It would be the first American city to do so.
We have a real affordability crisis here in America, and there's evidence to suggest that surveillance pricing, or kind of algorithmic pricing, is leading to price increases.
The grocery-specific ban in New York didn't go up for a vote in time. However, the broad ban in New York only needs Governor Hochul's signature to become law, but before that, the governor can offer her own amendments to send back to the legislator. Those amendments could make the bill weaker or stronger. For instance, advocates are asking her to add language to ensure private citizens can sue companies who break the law. Or she could add a series of carve-outs that, like Maryland, make the bill toothless. Will she bow to industry pressure, or will she sign a bill that could become a model for the rest of the country?
If you work in the grocery business, I'd love to talk. If you work in growth management or as a category manager or on the pricing team, drop us a line at stories@perfectunion.us. Even if you just work on pricing algorithms, I would love to talk. Seriously, is this still going? Are you still watching me?